I want to quickly bring in Kevin McCarthy, the House Minority Leader. Leader McCarthy, do you condemn this violence?
I completely condemn the violence in the Capitol. What we're currently watching unfold is un-American. I am disappointed. I'm sad. This is not what our country should look like. This is not who we are. This is not the First Amendment. This has to stop, and this has to stop now.
Have you spoken with the president and asked him to perhaps come to the Capitol and tell the supporters it's time to leave?
I've spoken to the president. I asked him to talk to the nation to tell him to stop this. This is not who we are. We are the beacon of freedom. We show democracy how we should act. We show the rest of the world, and this is not it. I don't know who in the crowd is doing this. I know there's good and bad. This has got to stop. This is unacceptable. What the Capitol Police have had to do, what the danger that it's put other people in, the people are being hurt.
I can't believe, and I'm so glad you brought, our Capitol Police should not have to deal with this, and I know you care about them deeply. You said you spoke with the president. What did the president say he would do?
I know he had put a tweet out there. I told him he needs to talk to the nation. I told him what was happening right then. I mean, from what I watched in the Capitol, from the way you had to move within the Capitol, the rush that had to come in, the windows that were being broken. Listen, as a nation, everybody in this nation has got to take a deep breath and understand we're all Americans. We can disagree, but we do not do this. This is not who we are. This is
who do you think bears responsibility? I hate to ask you this, but who do you think bears responsibility for this, for inciting this mob?
You know what? I think there's a combination. Anyone who's ever incited, anyone who's encouraged this. We can encourage to disagree. We can be passionate about our beliefs, but this is not where we go. This is not the best. This is not the best of who we are. I'm appalled by what I'm seeing happen right now.
And you think that it was just organic, that this protest just happened on its own?
No. If you watch some of the people, if you watch some of the things I watched in this Capitol, there are people inside here that have planned. There are people taking advantage. There are people that get over emotional. There are people that want to make America look like this. All I know is the Capitol Police should not have to be doing. The number of Capitol Police we have, I can't thank them enough for protecting the number of members, the number of staffers. You know, in that building, there's a lot of young people. That is the people's house. What should have happened was the American public should be able to watch the debate, an honest, open debate, not what's going on right now.
The president invited tens of thousands of people to, quote unquote, stop the steal. I don't know if you heard his more than hour-long remarks or the remarks of his son, who was the wind-up. It was some heated stuff, Leader McCarthy. I just wonder whether someone is going to accurately call a spade. And I'm giving you the opportunity right now that your precious and beloved United States Capitol and our democracy is witnessing this. Call a spade a spade.
I was very clear with the president when I called him. This has to stop, and he's got to go to the American public and tell them to stop this. This is not who we are. This is not who his supporters are. This is more than politics. This is the foundation of this nation. This is the democracy that we are supposed to be the torch for the rest of the world. This is not the view we should see, and nobody should encourage it, and nobody should be a part of it.
And so to the leaders who believe that this election was stolen and that oppose the count of the Electoral College, including yourself, why have you all run from the Capitol? Why not stay there and meet these people who believe the same way that you do? Why not meet them with courage?
I can't tell you where we are out of safety for everybody else. But the one thing I will tell you is people can have a disagreement. We disagree every day when it comes to politics. People can have that. Not this. Nobody supports this. Nobody encourages this. Nobody wants this. I want to be very clear. I condemn any of this activity. This is not anything I support. This is not anything that I would be a part of, and this has got to stop.
Why, I just wonder, are there members of the leadership headed to the White House to try and move this process forward? We're at that point, as you know, Leader McCarthy, we're at that point where this is not only something that tears down at the fabric of our democracy, but will be used by our foreign adversaries. You say you want it to stop. What are you going to do now to make it stop?
I'm meeting with the other leaders. I'm talking to the president. I want to first and foremost make sure the security of our Capitol Police and the people who are in the Capitol. Let's get this out of control. Let's get them out of the Capitol, out of the chambers. Let's make sure people are safe, and this can never happen again.
Leader McCarthy, the President of the United States has a briefing room steps from the Oval Office. The cameras are hot 24/7, as you know. Why hasn't he walked down and said that now?
I conveyed to the president what I think is best to do, and I'm hopeful the president will do it.
And have you spoken with his chief of staff?
I've spoken to the president. I've spoken to other people in there and to the White House as well.
You don't think he's sitting and maybe taking some delight watching this?
I don't know of any American that takes delight in this. I wouldn't assume that about anybody. I can't believe someone would take delight in this. This is appalling.
It appears an all-hands-on-deck situation. It is an all-hands-on-deck. This is the moment that requires leadership. And if it's not presidential leadership, it's congressional leadership. And I think that the American public will hold people accountable for it. And I just am waiting to find out what that is. Where is that leadership?
Well, one thing I will tell you right now, we're sitting in the midst of this to get this under control. I will tell you first and foremost, for anything that's happening, this has got to stop, and I'm doing everything in my power to make sure it does. This will never happen again. Well, whoever created this has got to be held accountable for it. So the one thing I will tell you from the highest of offices, I went directly to make that action take place. And I will continue to make that action to take place.
Leader McCarthy, Major Garrett.
Yes, Major.
Any misgivings about the objections raised and what was set in motion on the floor today that created this environment, that created this storming of the Capitol, or at least, if not created an atmosphere in which they thought it was permissible?
Well, no one should ever think this is permissible, and I don't think today started it. But when I've watched this entire nation, how we've gone time and again. I mean, I could go back a number of times, but never to this point. So who's ever been involved in that? A pox on all houses, who ever participated in any of this. This should be a moment that brings us together, that not divides us. This should be a moment where our fiber of democracy gets stronger because we're being challenged at this moment. This is where Republicans and Democrats and independents should stand together against this and never allow this to happen again.
Leader McCarthy, does the Capitol Police need to have reinforcements from the National Guard to create a stability situation to get the Capitol back under control?
From what I'm seeing right here, I am not a police officer, but I think they're doing an amazing job. But the size of this crowd, and there were barriers around. They have broken through a number of barriers, but I think for the security of others, I think help is needed.
From the National Guard?
Yes.
And what is the plan to bring Congress back into session? Do you have intentions of doing that tonight, getting back to work, or are you going to take a powder for the rest of the day?
I think first and foremost, let's get this under control. Let's take a deep breath right now. Let's solve this. And let's take this moment for everyone who is listening, for anyone who's watching. We all have a responsibility here. Let's not blame everybody else. Let's take a responsibility as ourselves. Did we ever do something on social media? Did we ever yell at somebody on a political belief? And let's stop that. Let's stop and respect one another and never take it to this level ever again.
Leader McCarthy, this is Ed O'Keefe, along with Norah and Major. A few questions on what transpired this afternoon. What is your understanding about injuries inside the Capitol? Was anyone shot? Was anyone else hurt? We've heard conflicting reports, and I know you've been a confirming source on some of this elsewhere.
Look, because of my locality of where my office was, right by the Capitol, because of the Capitol Police and where they had to close everything down, I could hear on radio different things that are being reported. I will wait to see what they are able to report. I don't want to give any misinformation out there, but from what I heard and what I was able to view, I know people are being hurt.
Okay. And what was your understanding of the Capitol Police's preparations for today? Did they give you a sense in advance that they were planning more or a more robust presence ahead of today's events?
Yes, they had more robust. They had barriers further away from the Capitol. They had barriers on the backside. Those were broken through. I could see from my office people coming in. I saw more reinforcements coming in. I seen them overtake them just by the size going through windows. I've never seen anything like this.
And as far as you know, all of your colleagues are safe and not injured? All your House lawmaker colleagues?
I'm getting reports now from staff and from others. From right now, people are safe, but...
Leader McCarthy, Rudy Giuliani said this morning before the crowd of tens of thousands, let's have trial by combat. Will you denounce those comments?
I totally denounce. I denounce anyone that thinks that is what we do in America. That is not what we do in America. That is not who we are.
I just am at odds with how political leaders can believe that words and rhetoric don't matter. History teaches that.
They do matter. I've watched it. I've watched it on both sides of the aisle. I've watched it go. I've had a colleague shot. I've watched members say to go after other members. This has got to stop. And you know what? It has to not just stop with our leaders. It's got to stop with everybody in America themselves. That they think if they say something on social media, they're just saying it. The threats that go. I've watched different houses come after them. All of that has got to stop, and we've got to respect one another and respect the difference of opinion. This is not what we do when we disagree.
The highest-ranking Republican in the House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy, we thank you for your time condemning the violence and telling us that you have called the president and urged him to address the nation to end this now.